Rangemaster RxU receiver is a device for wireless control of sporting traps. Up to 24 receivers and traps can be used on one layout. Receivers are controlled by 8, 16, or 24-channel Rangemaster remote controls. To configure the RxU receiver, first we need to connect the receiver to the trap. To do this, we will use 4-pin terminal block to connect the cable wires. Second, we need to set up channels. To do this, we will use the 2 deep switches, one for setting the layout channel, the other for setting the trap channel. The receiver is connected to the trap via cable with the connector. Depending on the trap used, use suitable connector. You need a 4-core cable with 0.75 square millimeter cores. If you get receivers complete with cable, then the cable on the receiver will already be prepared for connection. It means it is stripped and tinned like this. If you need to connect the cable yourself, you must first prepare it for connection to the trap. So to connect the receiver, you need a cable about 2 meters long. It should be stripped from both sides according to the following scheme. After stripping, crimping, and tinning, you have a cable that you can use to connect the receiver to the trap. So the order of connection the wires to the trap connector depends on the model of the trap. I'm going to show the receiver connection using a Laporte connector. First, we open the connector. Then, we pull the cable. Here, all clamps are numbered. According to the scheme, we connect the wires to each clamp on the connector. If we are talking about the Laporte connector, then clamps number 1, 2, and 3 will be used. The 4th clamp will leave empty. So in accordance with the scheme, we insert the black and brown wires in the clamp number 1. And we tighten the screw. Next, we insert blue wire into clamp number 2. And the last 3rd wire goes into the clamp number 3. And we carefully tighten the screw. That's all. Now we tighten the gland. And the cable is connected. In a similar way, you can connect receivers to other types of traps like Mattarelli, Chromatic, and so on. Please follow the connection scheme in accordance to your trap's type. Also, if you have numbered cores instead of colored, You can also find the connection scheme in our manual, which you can download from our website. Now let's connect the cable cores to the receiver. If you purchase the RxU receiver complete with cable, you get it connected to the receiver. If no, it should be prepared as described earlier and connected to the receiver terminal block. So here is our cable. We pull it through the gland tighten the gland, and connect the wires in the following order: brown, blue, black, and yellow-green. Then we untighten the clamp screws if necessary, insert the cores, and carefully tighten them. In the same way you connect a cable with black numbered cores. So receiver is connected and ready for installation. The RxU receiver is installed next to the trap vertically above the ground with the antenna hanging down. The optimal height of the receiver above the ground is around 1.5 meter. It is also recommended to install the receiver under cover if possible, for example, inside a trap cover or something, to extend the life of the device. Please never leave the receiver on the battery, on the ground, or on a trap. In order to set the RxU receiver up, use a dip switch with 5 switches. Each trap on the layout must have individual channel. For example, trap A, channel 1, trap B, channel 2, and etc. We can set the address using a special address table, where the first column shows the channels of the traps from A to X, and opposite each channel is the position of 5 switches for each channel. The link to the address table can be found in the description for this video or in the manual. Now we are going to set the receiver for trap B. We find the letter B in the first column of the table and see that for this address the second switch must be in on position. Now it is set to second channel B. Please never use channel 0. To set the RxU receiver to a specific layout, we will use a dip switch with 8 switches. To set the layout address, first 5 switches are used. The address in this case must be the same for all receivers on the same layout. We can set the address using a special address table, where the first column indicates the channel of the layout, for example from 0 to 31, and opposite each channel are positions of 5 switches. The link to the table can be found in the description of this video or in the manual. For example, we need to set the channel for the trap on layout 5, so we use channel 5. We find the channel and see that the first and third switches must be in the on position. We turn them up and assign the receiver to layout 5. In the same way, you can set the receivers the layout addresses from 1.1 to 8.4 in case you use this type of layout name. The link to the table can be found in the description of this video or in the manual. Also, you can adjust the recocking time of the trap. This is the period of the time required to fully recock the trap when the trap is cocking and does not respond to commands. The recocking time can be adjusted using dip switch with 8 switches by changing the position of switch number 7, position on, up, sets the value to 2.4 seconds. Position off, down, sets the value to 1.2 seconds. By default, it is set to 1.2 seconds. Also, you can set the relay response time for the trap. It is the period of time required for a trap to release a target after it has received the command. You can set the relay response time using dip switch with 8 switches by changing the position of switch number 8. The on-up position sets the value to 8 seconds. The off-down position sets the value to 0.4 seconds. By default, it is set to 0.4 seconds. So let's repeat all the steps for setting up the RxU receiver. So we need to first connect the cable to the connection of the trap. Second, connect the other end of the cable to the receiver. Third, connect to the trap and place it 1.5 meters above the ground with the antenna down, preferably under the shelter. 4. Set the trap address. 5. Set the layout address. 6. If necessary, change the recocking time and the relay response time of the trap. Well, that's it. The receiver is set up and ready for operation.